Coming live from the Tivoli Met Radio studio here on Auraria campus, this is All Sports with Gerardo. Thank you for listening to All Sports through Met Radio on mymetmedia.com, live every Thursday from 3:30 to 5 p.m. This is your host Gerardo, and all I talk is sports. On the show today, I am going to talk about NFL football, Major League Baseball, and NBA basketball. Before I start the show, I hope you all had a great week. This is the 50th episode of All Sports with Gerardo. I want to say thank you to everybody that tunes into All Sports with Gerardo every week. And I want to say thank you to everybody that views my videos and my content on my social media pages at All Sports with Gerardo. And if you haven't, make sure to subscribe to my YouTube page or follow my pages on social media on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter at All Sports with Gerardo. To start off with Major League Baseball, last Friday, during the Rockies-Giants game on August 2nd, during the game, there was a pop-up when the Giants were batting out to center field. And when David Dahl went to catch it, he immediately fell to the ground. All his teammates, Bud Black, and the trainer had to come out to the field and run out to center field to check on David Dahl to make sure he was okay. Now, when David Dahl fell, the way he was holding on to his leg, it looked like it was going to be a serious injury. And when the team had to call for a cart to come on the field to pick up David Dahl to take him back to the locker room, this looked bad for David Dahl. And it looked like he was going to be gone and he was going to be out for the rest of the year. By the way he was holding on to his leg and how they had to pick up David Dahl, put him on the cart, and how the cart had to take him off the field to the locker room. But after David Dahl suffered this injury that looked like it was going to be a serious injury on the field during the Rockies-Giants game last Friday, after David Dahl had an MRI, the x-rays confirmed everything was negative, and it was just an ankle injury, and he just has an ankle sprain. But if you go back and look at the film from that game, the way David Dahl was holding on to his leg, it looked like it was going to be an ACL, an MCL, or an Achilles injury that would have sidelined David Dahl for the rest of the year and possibly for parts of next season. But David Dahl only landed up going on the 10-day disabled list, and we're going to have to wait and see when David Dahl returns back to the field for the Rockies. Also during the Rockies-Giants series last weekend, this was the last series and the last games for Giants manager Bruce Bochy to ever coach the Giants here at Coors Field. Last weekend, during the Rockies-Giants series, that will be the last time Giants manager Bruce Bochy comes to Coors Field. Before the beginning of the season, Bruce Bochy announced he was going to retire at the end of this season. And this is the last time Bruce Bochy will manage a team here at Coors Field. And at the end of the season, Giants manager Bruce Bochy will retire from baseball. Before the Rockies-Giants game, last Friday, August 2nd, the Rockies honored Bruce Bochy for everything he's done as a manager and coach for the Giants, Padres, and for all the other teams he's been a part of. I want to say congrats to Giants manager Bruce Bochy for having a great career managing the Giants, the Padres, and for everything you've done in Major League Baseball, especially winning those 3 World Series championships with the Giants in 2010, 2012, and 2014. And at the end of the season, when the Giants season comes to an end, make sure to enjoy retirement. But there's no doubt Bruce Bochy is one of the best managers of all time to ever manage a baseball team. Rockies closer Wade Davis has been demoted from the closer role, and he has switched to a middle innings reliever. For now, Scott Oberg will be the closer for the Rockies, since he's been closing most of the games this season, and he's also been pitching great this season. In the next few weeks, or later this season, the Rockies are hoping that they can have Wade Davis switch back to the closer role. But for now, since Scott Oberg has been doing good at the end of last year and throughout this season, the Rockies want Scott Oberg to be their closer. The Rockies acquired pitcher Joe Harvey from the Yankees in exchange for pitcher Alfredo Garcia. So right now I'm going to update you with the current Rockies schedule from this past week. And I'm going to tell you all the final scores from those games and who they went up against. And I'm also going to tell you who the Rockies go against in the next week. So to start off, this past weekend, the Rockies went against their divisional rival, the Giants, here at Coors Field. In the first game, the Rockies won a close game, 5-4. In the second game, the Rockies lost a close game, 5-6. And in the third game, the Rockies landed up winning the game 6-2. So overall, the Rockies won the series, and they're able to take 2 games from the Giants. This past week, the Rockies went down to Houston to have an interleague matchup against the Astros and played 2-game series against the Astros down in Houston to finish off their 4-game series against the Astros. In the first game, the Rockies landed up losing this game 6-11, and in the final game, the Rockies lost the game 3-14. So overall, in the Rockies-Astros series, the Rockies landed up losing both games here at Coors Field back in July, and they lost both games down in Houston this past week. So the Rockies couldn't win the series here at Coors Field or down in Houston, so the Astros landed up sweeping the Rockies. This weekend, the Rockies continue their road trip down to San Diego, and they're going to have a divisional matchup against the Padres, and it's going to be a 4-game series against the Padres this weekend. Then next week, the Rockies return back to Coors Field, and they'll have another divisional matchup here at Coors Field against the Diamondbacks. So hopefully, the Rockies can win some of their divisional games against the Padres down in San Diego and against the Diamondbacks here at Coors Field. So we're going to have to wait and see if the Rockies can get back to winning and win a few games in the next week. So right now I'm going to update you with the current Major League Baseball standings in the American and National League. To start off in the American League East, right now the Yankees are leading this division at 75 games. And the next closest team is the Rays by 10 games, and they're sitting at 66 games. In the American League Central, right now the Twins are leading this division at 70 games. But right behind them is the Indians by 2 games, and they're currently sitting at 68 games. In the American League West, right now the Astros are leading this division at 75 games, and the next closest team is the Athletics by 10 games, and they're sitting at 65 games. In the National League East, right now the Braves are leading this division at 68 games, and the next closest team is the Nationals by 6 games, and they're sitting at 61 games. In the National League Central, right now the Cubs are leading this division at 62 games. The next 2 closest teams is the Brewers and the Cardinals. The Brewers are sitting 3 games back, and the Cardinals are sitting 3.5 games back. So right now, the Cubs have 62 wins, the Brewers have 60 wins, and the Cardinals have 58 wins. So far, the National League Central has been a tight division for most of the season up until now. And in the National League West, right now the Dodgers are leading this division at 77 games. And the next closest team is the Diamondbacks by 18 games, and they're sitting at 58 games. So looking at the divisions in the American and National League, in the American League East, the Yankees have a big lead. In the American League Central, this is becoming a tight race between the Twins and the Indians. In the American League West, the Astros have a big lead over the Athletics. In the National League, in the National League East, right now the Braves have a lead over the Nationals. In the National League Central, this has definitely been a tight division for most of the season. And this division may come down to the end of the season, and the end of the season might determine who wins this division. But this can definitely be a 3-team race between the Cubs, Brewers, and Cardinals. And in the National League West, the Dodgers have a big lead in this division. And the other 4 teams, they ain't going to catch up to the Dodgers anytime soon. So that's the current Major League Baseball standings in the American and National League. In the Major League Baseball Power Rankings, the current top 10 Major League Baseball teams are the Astros, Dodgers, Yankees, Braves, Twins, Rays, Indians, Athletics, Cardinals, and Cubs. Now that we're heading into August, these top 10 teams that are ranked in the Major League Baseball Power Rankings this week, you want to keep an eye out on all 10 of these teams this weekend and going into next week. And we're going to have to wait and see what teams are ranked in the top 10 next week. But so far, the top 10 teams ranked this week have definitely been the best teams in baseball this season. Right now, I'm going to take a commercial break. When I come back, I will talk about the NFL. Welcome back to All Sports with Gerardo. Moving on now to NFL football. Tom Brady and the Patriots have agreed to a 2-year contract extension. Believe it or not, Tom Brady is the 6th highest paid quarterback in the NFL this season. This is really hard to believe that Tom Brady is not even in the top 5 of the highest paid quarterbacks in the NFL. So here are the top 5 highest paid quarterbacks in the NFL. At number 1, Russell Wilson. At number 2, Ben Roethlisberger. At number 3, Nick Foles. At number 4, Kirk Cousins. And at number 5, rookie quarterback Kyler Murray, who hasn't even taken a snap in the NFL this season. All 5 of these quarterbacks I listed have a higher salary than Tom Brady. That's unbelievable. Especially because Tom Brady has proven that he is one of the best or the best quarterback to ever play in the NFL. So for 5 other quarterbacks to be paid more than Tom Brady, it's crazy to see that Tom Brady has never been the highest paid quarterback in the NFL. For everything he's done, everything he's shown, and everything he's proven throughout the regular season, the playoffs, and in all the Super Bowls he's played in. And for Tom Brady to win 6 Super Bowl titles and not be the highest paid quarterback, that's crazy. It's just crazy to see that Tom Brady is not in the top 5 of the highest paid quarterbacks in the NFL. Because there's no doubt Tom Brady is better than all these other quarterbacks I listed. especially rookie quarterback Kyler Murray, who hasn't even played a single snap in the NFL this season. But after Tom Brady got a 2-year contract extension with the Patriots, Tom Brady and the Patriots are looking to win their 7th Super Bowl this season or going into the future. And there's no doubt Tom Brady is one of the best quarterbacks to ever play in the NFL. And after Tom Brady got signed to this 2-year contract extension, it looks like Tom Brady ain't going to retire anytime soon. After playing 10 seasons with the Packers, wide receiver Jordy Nelson is retiring from the NFL as a Packer. Safety Jonathan Cruming and the Eagles have agreed to a 1-year contract. Cornerback Morris Caliburn and the Chiefs have agreed to a 1-year contract. Robert Nicodick and the Dolphins have agreed to a 1-year contract. The Browns traded running back Duke Johnson to the Texans for a conditional 2020 4th-round pick. The NFL suspended Cowboys defensive end Robert Quinn for 2 games for violating the policy on performance-enhancing substances. NFL training camp is underway for all 32 teams. Last Thursday, the Broncos beat the Falcons 14-10 in the 2019 NFL Hall of Fame game on Thursday, August 1st in Canton, Ohio. So the Hall of Fame game between the Broncos and the Falcons was an expedition game. It wasn't really a preseason game for either team. Since the Broncos and the Falcons played in this expedition game, which was the Hall of Fame game in Canton, Ohio, both the Broncos and the Falcons will have 5 preseason games. But this Hall of Fame game was an expedition game, and it really doesn't count. The Broncos, the Falcons, and all other 30 teams in the NFL have their first preseason game this week. The 2019 NFL Hall of Fame induction ceremony was on Saturday, August 3rd in Canton, Ohio. The class of 2019 that got inducted into the NFL Hall of Fame included cornerback Champ Bailey from the Broncos, Broncos owner Pat Bowlen, Gil Brandt, tight end Tony Gonzalez, cornerback Ty Law, Kevin Maui, safety Ed Reed from the Ravens, and Johnny Robinson. I want to say congrats to all the inductees that got inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame this year. The class of 2019 that got inducted into the NFL Hall of Fame was a great class. All these individuals definitely deserve to be in the Hall of Fame, especially Broncos owner Pat Bowlen. He finally got into the NFL Hall of Fame. And I want to say congrats to Broncos owner Pat Bowlen on getting into the NFL Hall of Fame, and to the rest of the individuals that got into the NFL Hall of Fame this year. Now we're going to have to wait and see what individuals are going to get into the NFL Hall of Fame next year, and who the class of 2020 is going to include. We're also going to have to wait and see what individuals are part of the class of 2020 that gets inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Now the format for the NFL Hall of Fame will change next year, and we're going to have to wait and see what individuals get into the NFL Hall of Fame. But some of the individuals that have been on the ballot for the last few years, in 2020, we may finally see some of those individuals finally get inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame, since the format is going to change next year. And some of the individual players and some of the great players that played for the Broncos in the past which includes Steve Atwater, can finally get into the NFL Hall of Fame next year going into the future. And we're going to have to wait and see if any Broncos get into the NFL Hall of Fame in 2020 or going into the future. But I can't wait to see what individuals are going to be the class of 2020 that gets inducted into the NFL Hall of Fame next year. The Broncos' first preseason game is against the Seahawks up in Seattle on Thursday, August 8th. Also this week is the first week of preseason football. And before you know it, a month from now, the regular season will begin. So football's finally back, and the beginning of the regular season is just around the corner. Right now, I'm going to take a commercial break. When I come back, I will talk about the NBA. Welcome back to All Sports with Gerardo. Moving on now to NBA basketball. At the ESPYs on Wednesday, July 10th, Giannis Antetokounmpo was named NBA MVP, Best NBA Athlete, and Best Male Athlete of the Year. So congrats to Giannis Antetokounmpo for having a great season with the Bucks this past year. And we can't wait and see what Giannis Antetokounmpo and the Bucks do this season. Vince Carter and the Hawks have agreed to a one-year contract this season at the age of 42. This will be the 22nd season Vince Carter has played in the NBA. And if Vince Carter plays a game after January 1st, 2020, Vince Carter is going to make history. At the end of this season, Vince Carter can become the first player to play the most seasons in NBA history. There's only been a few players that have played the most seasons, which has been 21 seasons in the NBA. But if Vince Carter can play 22 seasons in the NBA, Vince Carter will make NBA history by being the only player to play the most seasons in NBA history, which would be 22 seasons. Also, if Vince Carter plays a game after January 1st, 2020, Vince Carter will become the first player in NBA history to play in all 4 decades. So we're going to have to wait and see if Vince Carter plays a 22nd season in the NBA. But if he does, he will make NBA history. Throughout Vince Carter's career, he has played for the Raptors, Nets, Mavericks, and Hawks. But the highlights of Vince Carter's career was when he was playing for the Raptors. But when Vince Carter decides to hang up his jersey and call it a career, whether it's at the end of this season or going into the future, there's no doubt Vince Carter has been one of the best players to ever play in the NBA. And maybe going into the future, Vince Carter can make his way into the NBA Hall of Fame. So we're going to have to wait and see if Vince Carter gets inducted into the NBA Hall of Fame going into the future once he retires and calls it a career. The 2019-2020 NBA schedules are getting ready to be released in the next few weeks. So make sure to watch out for the NBA schedules in the next few weeks. And watch out for your favorite team's schedule to be released. On Christmas Day, there will be 5 NBA games played throughout the day. The Clippers will go against the Lakers in the Battle of Los Angeles. The Pelicans will go against the Nuggets here at the Pepsi Center in Denver. It's going to be great to see the Nuggets play on Christmas Day after the Nuggets had a great season. The Celtics will go against the Raptors. The Bucks will go against the 76ers. And the Rockets will go against the Warriors. So those are the 5 games that will be played on Christmas Day. And all 5 of these matchups will definitely be great games. So make sure to watch all 5 of these NBA games on Christmas Day. Right now I'm going to take a commercial break. When I come back, I will talk about the end of the show. Welcome back to All Sports with Gerardo. Moving on now to end the show. What to watch for this weekend sports. The Broncos' first preseason game is against the Seahawks up in Seattle on Thursday, August 8th. The first week of NFL preseason football, NFL training camp for all 32 teams, Major League Baseball, the Rockies. Moving on now, on the next show, I will talk about NFL football, Major League Baseball, and NBA basketball. I hope you all have a great weekend. Tune in to the next All Sports with Gerardo show next Thursday from 3:30 to 5 p.m. I want to say thank you to everybody that listens to All Sports through Met Radio here on mymetmedia.com. Subscribe or like my pages on social media at All Sports with Gerardo. Until next time, this is Gerardo.